All of them.
So your sister's engaged, and congratulations to Jules. Oh my God.
Oh, you did?
Jen, because we're going to do something. Compilation.
Working on.
Huh?
Which one you do? What we working on?
We're over here. Her flashlight's on. Space known as North End.
Okay.
This is the public section on that.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Not yet.
Really?
But not yet. Yes, I will tell you. Well, it's up there. Yes.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the Co-Star, the official newspaper of the Borough of Belmar, and the Asbury Park Press on January 3rd, 2023, and notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board municipal building. Taking roll call, Councilwoman Donovan? Here. Councilwoman Kinney? Here. Mayor Lopez-Fusco?
Here.
Councilwoman Romanero? Here. Councilman Levis?
Here.
Okay, this everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our troops, first responders, and their families.
And in addition, a moment of silence for two long-time Belmar residents who've passed, Jean Murray and Dave Taylor. Their service to our community is very appreciated, and they will be greatly missed.
Thank you. Okay, before we start, we have a brief, short ceremony that's being given to two of our people that work in law enforcement in the managed squad VFW. They just want to come up. Oh, that's at the next meeting? Okay, I didn't get the memo. Okay, workshop. I'm going to start off with our favorite topic for the council, just to bring you up on our geese control issues. Okay? Very generally, there's this whole geese control thing really needs like a two-phase approach. A short-term plan and a long-term plan. And after looking at this for a while with some of the people from the Environmental Commission, the short-term goal is really to try to get the geese away from the lake. And basically, the way you do that is through the use of the dogs, the border collies, who actually go into the lake and shoo the geese away. And that's the type of thing where it has to be consistent so that they don't feel the need to come back. And one of the other things that obviously we tried this year but should continue to be done in future years is the oiling of the eggs to make sure that we don't have any more reproduction of the geese. And the third component of that could also be removing the nests. After looking at all of this and seeing what's gone on in the past, I've talked to Mr. Kane, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to put that out to bid to a professional geese control company who would handle, those aspects or anything else that they may say would work. So that's something we're going to start working on. I have a few copies from other municipalities. There's many municipalities in the state and the country have this problem. So, and I know that there are many businesses that do this type of thing. So I think that's really the first prong, short-term thing. The other thing we're going to try to do, and I know DPW director, I haven't talked to him about this, but I think one of the things we can do immediately is try to increase the perimeter of unmowed grass around the lake. Because what that does is, number one, it takes away potential food from the geese. Plus, geese are very attuned to the line of sight, and if they can't see, a way out, they're likely not going to stay. So, I think that will accomplish something, at least in the short run. The longer-term solution is really to have the geese not come back to our area, because they're very havoc-prone, and they will come back because we have the perfect environment for them. We have water, we have grass, and we have a nice little island where they can breed, and it makes it very attractive. So one of the longer-term solutions, but something that would be started as soon as we can, is to basically modify the habitat. In other words, make it less interesting for them, so it really doesn't appeal to them. Two prongs to that would be, number one, taking away their preferred food source, which is grass, especially Kentucky bluegrass. And the second part of that is to create a landscape where geese don't feel safe. And part and parcel of that is also basically looking at the entire perimeter of the lake and seeing at the same time if we can improve that whole environment while we are also making the environment less less friendly for geese. So we can actually engage an expert through the Animal Advocacy League for a site proposal at no cost to the town. And I think we're going to start on that, very quickly. And a person will come who's actually, I never heard this term before, but it's an eco-architect designer. And the specialty is really to design an environment where, the lake will thrive and the geese will not. And it has been done in other areas, so I'm very interested to see how that would work. And I think that's what we're looking to do, overall, to see what we will do to control it. We're not going to round up the geese and take them off and, kill them. That's not as part of the plan. So I think we have a very humane way to do this. Have to have a little patience. It's not going to be done tomorrow, but I think that's the plan for the future, and we'll keep the council posted as to how this goes on. Okay. The second thing is we have on the agenda tonight a resolution having to do with. See what the. 2023-164 is a resolution that the borough, the council will be designating Michelle Fasari and Maria Fasari as a conditional redeveloper on Block 106, Lot 1, which is the corner of 10th Avenue and Main Street, which used to be, in my day, it used to be the Belmar Fashion Corner, but I understand it was also Sensations. So, just wanted to let the council know that that is what's on for tonight, and if they have any questions about it, it's basically going to stay from the way it looks, pretty much the way it looks. There's going to be some renovations done on the second floor, which will create 8 apartments, and there are going to be renovations on the first floor, which will convert the commercial space. If I remember correctly, I believe it's 5 commercial spaces. So that's essentially what the redevelopment agreement is about. So I don't know if you have any questions or...
There was no overall change, I think, in the footprint of the building, correct?
No,
There?
not at all.
Same height, same
Yes,
area, right? So it's
yes.
really just interior renovations.
Yes, I believe that's, my recollection is just interior.
And there's also an added affordable housing unit, is that correct?
Well, one of them will be designated as an affordable housing unit.
Okay. And then another question that we had was with parking.
Parking, yeah.
You know,
I'm just looking at my notes. I believe there's a parking for 8 spaces, and Mr. McGill, you can, if you, or if you, this, our redevelopment council just happens to be here also. If you can introduce yourself, that would be
Yes,
great.
Fran McManaman, Skelton and Bauman. We serve as a redevelopment council to the borough. Good evening, everyone. Yes, for your consideration this evening, on your agenda is a resolution that will do 2 things. It will conditionally designate Fazzari, Michelle, and Maria Fazzari as the conditional redevelopers of this property for 120 days. It will also authorize the execution of an interim cost agreement, which will establish an escrow fund with the borough to cover the costs of negotiating a final redevelopment agreement and also any other professional costs that are incurred by the borough in connection with this redevelopment process for this parcel. Again, this is a temporary conditional designation for a period of 120 days, during which we will engage with the conditional redeveloper to negotiate a final redevelopment agreement, which will come before council and you'll adopt it by resolution. So this project will be before council again once we've negotiated the final redevelopment agreement, which will include all the rights, duties, and obligations of both parties in connection with the redevelopment of this parcel.
Thank you. Any questions?
at that time, would we have a presentation for the public at a council meeting of what this will look like?
It's, yes,
I
that
know
can
it's the
absolutely
same
be made
footprint,
available.
but-
And prior to that, according to the redevelopment plan, there are some multiple steps as far as the consistency review that will take place before it comes to council.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I could never have said all that. I don't know. Okay, the next thing that we want to put on the workshop too is we have also with us tonight our telecommunications attorney, Peter Lupo, who will just speak briefly to the council and tell us about the ordinance that we will be having a second reading on tonight. Peter is here. You want to just, I don't know if he wants to stay at the mic or sit at the table or, come on, yeah, don't be shy. Yeah, just let us know, pretty much what the ordinance is about.
Sure. So Peter Lupo, Hoplite Communications. I'm Belmar's 5G Special Telecommunications Attorney. Good evening. So the purpose tonight of the ordinance is we currently have 2 ordinances of record under Chapter 43 under the Borough Code. Both of them are inconsistent with each other. So right off the bat, very difficult for an administrator to go ahead and interpret it when there are conflicting provisions in both these ordinances. Also, these ordinances have things that make it illegal or make it unlawful under the FCC. So some of the things it has in there is it's prohibitive service. It requires the carriers to be in precise locations. There's a citing provision in the Belmar ordinance. Also, it charges unlawful fees for services that exceeds the safe harbor provisions under the FCC. Also, it's arbitrary and capricious, and it requires concealment poles in the entire area. So those are the 3 things. Additionally, the new ordinance, which will replace these 2, have provisions which will allow the municipality take as much control as possible under the FCC. There are provisions that have anti-proliferation, so that the carrier, when they approach Belmar, is required to go ahead and use existing infrastructure. So if there is a utility pole, they have to, as a right of first measure, to approach the owner of that utility pole and recycle it, rather than put in the utility pole. Only if it doesn't meet the technical requirements will they be required, can they ask to put in the utility pole. Some other things I have in there, besides anti-proliferation provision, is a noise ordinance. So it's incorporated there so that it makes a loud buzzing noise or something that annoys residents. It's consistent with the state DOT, which regulates daytime and nighttime noise. They have to come and replace it. I have that experience in other municipalities where residents have complained. I helped resolve it in favor of the resident. Also, we have provisions where you can't use advertising, so if you're a carrier, you can't have a little sign over there. We want to keep this strictly related to telecommunications purposes that are allowed under the FCC. Those are the principal provisions that are in there, and the purpose for the driven replace effectively the ordinances.
Okay, thank you. He didn't say that he represents like 50 towns in the state of New Jersey and 2 counties also. So thank you for being here. And the public, right before the ordinance vote, there will be an open session. So if you have any questions at that point, Mr. Lupo's going to stick around.
I'll be
so
right
we
there.
can,
Yep.
we can address them. You want it? Yeah.
Can you clarify for everyone here why we need this ordinance to begin with?
The
Why
purpose
can't
of-
we just say no poles at all?
Oh, correct, yes, Councilwoman, yes. So, right now, FCC has a requirement that every municipality has to allow these small cells. It's a 5G network densification. So roughly the millimeter wave technology that's being rolled out now only covers roughly 1.5 to 2 football fields. And the FCC makes it incumbent on municipalities that they have to allow these small cells into the public rights of way. It would be either prohibition of service or anything that's inhibiting the service would be unlawful under the FCC, and you would effectively lose in court.
So what would happen if we had no ordinance at all?
Then you would have a default provision. You're at risk. When you have no ordinance at all, you're going to the more liberal FCC standards. I definitely tightened things up quite a bit in this ordinance. So without this, you'd be kind of at the mercy. You wouldn't have, for example, ability to go in stealth, ask for concealment in areas where it'd be permissive under the FCC to do it. You would have nothing in there, and that would really put you in an ad hoc position where if you ask for a concealment pole, say for example on Ocean Avenue, we have wrought iron appearing looking utility structures, that you'd be at risk effectively of taking what they offer you. So it protects Belmar and its constituents in that way. So it's compliant with the FCC, but we kind of recapture as much as we can in terms of what we can do to protect residents.
And also, this is, obviously, it applies to the entire borough, the ordinance, and would also apply to any carrier who wants to come in the future, perhaps, and build up a 5G small cell network.
Correct, and there's two major carriers rolling out this 5G network. It's Verizon and AT&T, but certainly T-Mobile is going to get into it. And I know they already have, I think Crown Castle is going to be their anchor telecommunications carrier. They're used to put these poles up. And then Dish is lurking in the background. So Dish is then actively building these small cells, but certainly in the future, near future, they'll look to go ahead and do this network densification in the public right away as well. So as the mayor mentioned, potentially up to 4 carriers.
Okay, any other questions, council? Okay, thanks.
I'll be right
Yeah,
back. Thank you.
okay. I think that's all I have for workshop. Does anyone else have any?
Yes, I have
things?
something. A couple weeks ago, we actually took delivery of a brand new ambulance for the borough. This was something that was in the works with the shared service agreement that our previous head of our state, Ryan DeLay, was working on, organizing the shared service agreement amongst all the towns, part of the grant money, which was, I think, $230,000 went to an ambulance, so taxpayers didn't have to pay anything towards that. So if you see that around, hopefully you don't see the inside of it, but if you see it around, that was part of the grant that we were able to get from the shared service agreement. So that's that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Our high school banners for high school seniors are ordered, and we should start seeing them up on Main Street after the holiday.
Okay, thanks. Okay, let's move on. Any petitions
No, I did not receive any.
Okay, next, approval of minutes.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 13th meeting?
Motion?
Second.
Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rondenaro?
Yes.
Councilman Levis?
Abstain.
Okay, reports of council. I don't believe, you do have a report, okay.
Well, I'm not sure exactly if this goes under workshop or report, but either way, we're very excited right now because we are moving forward with doing a town newsletter. I hope many of you will be very happy about. We're really working hard to get better communications out to all of you. We have located a provider. We have a program to get sent out mass emails. We're working on the finances behind it, but hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have a place for you to sign up and start getting maybe a monthly newsletter. So our worry with the Nixle system is it's supposed to be, I believe, can you clarify? Or, I think the Nixle system is supposed to be reserved for emergencies, is that?
Well, it can be community, there's 3 levels, community, advisory, and alerts. But the community notices would only go out by email and like a push notification. And then the advisory and the alerts would go out, phone calls and text messages. But you have to send it as like a PDF link or not like a graphic thing. You can flip through like a normal newsletter.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. A couple things, starting with recreation. All the fitness classes that were out in Taylor Pavilion now are now in the recreation gym. So chair yoga, mat yoga, all around fitness. So check the website for the schedule for that. Friday night concert series is continuing every Friday at 6 p.m. weather permitting, right? This week it's Joe and the Highland Express performing. Luckinville Pops Band returns to Taylor Pavilion every Monday night, 7 o'clock, starting this Monday, July 3rd. And fall soccer signups are going on right now. You can visit the recreation page by going to belmar.com. Just a reminder that the Circle of Friends presentation is going to be presenting to the summer campers this July 14th. They're doing an anti-bullying and just acceptance of special needs presentation to the summer campers, which is going to be great. That's, again, July 14th at 11 a.m. And the next ADA meeting is July 27th. Shade Tree Commission, planting of new trees on Main Street we're going to be happening this fall. We're going to be updating some of our fall plantings on Main Street. They're looking to update the website and starting a Facebook page. Fernwood Nursery is doing their fall tree sale again this year, so look out for information about that. And they're still going to follow up with the Master Gardeners to arrange for a pruning class in the fall, so keep an eye out for that. Around the schools, well, school's out, so that's great for all kids. And you can find all the school summer hours on the websites. And then lastly, I just want to do a quick update about the Belmar Skate Park. The skate park committee got our designs back from our designer, and they're awesome. Everybody's really super excited about that. It's going back and forth a little with the designers to tweak a couple things and change up a few things. But our hope is that we have a final design and rendering, and that we can present it to a council meeting. They want to do a 3D printing of it as well, so that we can kind of show everybody what it's going to look like, because then we got to raise money. And so I have appointed a skate park, Belmar Skate Park fundraising committee, who's excited and anxious to get going. As soon as we give the go-ahead and we have our rendering, we're going to start raising money. So look out for all fundraisers and upcoming things that are going to be coming to help us raise some money for our Belmar Skate Park. It's going to be awesome. All right, and that's my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rondenaro.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to offer my congratulations to our new council president, Mark Levis. He was out of town for work for his own nomination last week, so congratulations, Mark. The Belmar Housing Authority has its next meeting June 3rd at 5:15. I'm happy to report that Director DeSantis signed a contract last Thursday with Superior Scaffolding out of Bethlehem, PA. They're to install the scaffolding soon. Additionally, he's directed the engineer to develop specs for metal channels for the brick so that that can be put out to bid. We are hoping to receive emergency funding in time, but if not, they're going to proceed with the fix as the condition of the facade is continuing to deteriorate. It needs to be fixed now. Panels will be added over the channels when the funds are available, so it might look a little strange without the panels, but the panels are more decorative. So right now the channels are what's needed for the structure. Tomorrow a new transfer switch will be put in. The residents have had advance warning that this means that their main elevator will be out from 8 to 4. If needed, residents can call Mike, the superintendent, who has a key to the freight elevator, to use the freight elevator. The transfer switch will make sure that the elevator is able to transfer to generator power in case of power outage, and we know that was an issue several months ago. I have also made the borough and emergency services aware of this repair, so if extra help is needed, they will be there. The library. The summer reading scavenger hunt program for kids in grades 1 through 8 is in full swing with over 30 participants reading to win prizes and to the end of the summer. There is still time to participate. Simply bring your child to the library to register and get your starter kit and start reading to win. The Summer Youth Art Program featuring artists from around the world will be starting July 12th. This program's for kids in 1 through 6 and free to participate. Register your kids online to participate. The next concert in Summer Concert Series is Tuesday, July 25th, featuring Tommy B and the Deep Blue Sea at 6 o'clock on the library's front lawn. Bring your lawn chairs and your love of funky jazz and blues music. The newest health and fitness program, Mobility, Balance, and Strength, is now underway and held every Thursday at 10 a.m. at the library. Once again, free and open to the public. The library continues to add to their programming. As always, please check their website, belmarlibrary.org, for their calendars of events. Their Juneteenth celebration brought in over 100 community members, featuring John Luck and Bill's Orchestra, speakers Tasha Youngblood Brown, Kanisha Jones, and Dr. Jennifer Edmonds. Plus, there was a special tribute to the life of Grace T. Roper, Belmar's library director for 30 years, and mother to our ever-active library board member, Johanna Roper Robinson. And I heard they had delicious red velvet cupcakes. Lastly, the Lake Como Mayor's Bash is July 13th at 6 p.m. at Bar A. All proceeds benefit the Lake Como Recreation Department. As sister boroughs who share services in schools, I encourage you all to come and join us in the celebration. Tickets are available at their borough hall, or you can Venmo at LC Mayor's Bash and include your name. Last year's was a blast. I really recommend it. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President Levis.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd first like to congratulate Councilwoman Donovan. It's a pleasure to be up here with you. I just want to mention the Belmar Junior Guards is starting tomorrow. So there's some excited kids for that. And summer camp has gotten underway first 2 days, and it seems like the kids are having a good time. My heart sunburned yet. Usually a little bit at the end of the week. And then I missed the last council meeting, but I really wanted a chance to thank the firefighters for the perfect storm that they had to put out with the truck crash and the telephone pole and 2 house fires, which were literally in my backyard. I got to see firsthand how fast these guys responded and how quickly they stopped what could have been a much bigger issue. So kudos to them and all our first responders for getting there quickly and really managing what was an extreme situation that hopefully we don't see again. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. I just have a few things, and bear with me if someone has already mentioned this, but I know the summer camp has started, and I'd like to thank our Recreation Director, Barry Trogu, and Colleen Dillon, who is Director of the summer camp, as well as the other camp counselors for 2023. I think we're going to have a good season. Also, the Junior Guard is starting tomorrow. We have 175 participants this year. I'm told it's the largest group we've had in a few years, and hopefully it'll lead to new Belmar lifeguards in the future. So, again, I think it's a great opportunity for children to learn about the ocean and, ocean safety. I'd like to wish everyone a happy 4th of July. It's not here yet, but it's coming, and we are going to be celebrating with two things. There's a Independence Day light show, laser light show, on Friday night at 8:30 p.m. And then we will have our fireworks beginning at 9:10 p.m. up at Silver Lake by the Tail Pavilion. I think, did you mention Movies on the Beach? Movies on the Beach starts next week with Finding Nemo. And it will be continuing Wednesdays throughout the summer. And then lastly, this was a pleasant thing that I had to do. As I was going through some of my emails last week, I came across a whole series of them, and I hadn't read them very carefully. And there was a picture in there which was really big. And when I reduced it, it was a letter from one of our children in town, 8-year-old Hudson, and he had drawn a picture and he had made me a letter saying that he was concerned about the traffic on his street, and that we needed more signage on that street. And it never had been sent to me. We found out later it was just an assignment that they had to do. But I thought it was really interesting and exciting to get something from one of our kids. So instead of just sending him a letter back, I wasn't doing anything one night. My wife and I said, let's just go and see him. So I went to his house and I met him. I guess he was surprised to see me, and I thanked him for writing the letter, and I encouraged him to stay active in what's going on in the town. And that was one of the things that I wanted to just get across to all the kids, that it's really important for them to be involved so they learn how government works. And if any of you parents would like to bring them to council meetings, please do. I think it's important for them to see us work. They can sit up right in the front, and and I'd be happy, and I'm sure all the council people would be happy to explain to them, what's going on. So I just add that as an aside. But we also have taken a few steps to try to address some of the problems in that area, and one of them was I think we put up some new signage and maybe a digital sign, 1 or 2 digital signs on, I think it was 17th and 18th Avenues. So we got the message. We're trying to correct that issue, and again, it's nice to receive letters from kids. So please, if they have a complaint, just tell them to send me a letter. Okay? All right. I think that's it for reports of council. I guess we're up to the public session.
If anyone from the public would like to speak regarding a resolution listed on the agenda, please step forward, state your name and address.
Good evening, Katrina Clapsis, B Street. I just have a question about resolution, the one that was put on at the end, I guess today, whenever, 2023-167, about the handbook, the employee's handbook. It says that there is an attachment, but I cannot find the attachment. Is the attachment on belmar.com with all of
Yes, it is.
It is? What would it be under, April?
It's under the mayor council page, under miscellaneous documents.
Okay, but you're saying it's there. Okay, so I might have just overlooked it. Mayor and council, miscellaneous. Okay, thank you. I just.
We're the same page that the agenda is.
Yeah, you're, okay, yeah, okay, thank you.
That's okay, I'll speak up. Eugene Creamer, 4th Avenue. Resolution 2023-162. This is retail liquor consumption license. The number is incorrect. This is for 1000 Main, also trading as Jack's Private Tracks. I believe the actual number is 13062011017. The reason I picked up on that is because a type 34 license, which is what's listed on the agenda, that would be a seasonal license. And I believe the text of the resolution, the first paragraph of the resolution itself, I believe it does correct that.
Okay, so it looks like it's just in the heading of the resolution.
Correct.
And we can fix that.
Okay. 2023-163. This is a resolution authorizing issuance of seasonal retail consumption license 1306-34 to 1,000 Main Liquor. The last time that we had a seasonal liquor license was for DJs, and if you recall, we had to amend that resolution to include the additional 14 days that the seasonal license holder is entitled to.
I'll defer to council on
Yeah,
that.
we did put some additional wording in that last resolution for DJs. I don't have it handy. I think we should be consistent and probably should add it in this resolution as well. And I think we just put in wording that said, or otherwise, they can operate as otherwise as otherwise permitted by law. And that's in reference to their ability to request certain days that they are allowed to be open.
Outside of the normal.
They're usually closed. So April, I don't know, can you look at that and see what we did and just we'll do it again just to be consistent?
Sure.
I'm looking for my notes. I don't have last.
So that go on again next, at the next meeting?
agenda.
No, we have to do it just meeting.
Yeah. Thank you, that was my only comment.
Okay.
The last meeting with DJs, you just
Right, I remember.
amended the
It's not,
resolution.
it's not really necessary, but to do it, but we can, what we did was we added, we just added that, operation period shall include any other days as permitted by state law.
That's what we did, then we should do that.
We'll be consistent. Okay. Any other comments? Come on.
Claire Dyke, 1017 14th Avenue. I'm very, very happy that the skateboard park is being opened. However, there are issues of safety that have been overlooked in the past, and that young people are required to wear helmets and other safety gear. Thankfully, not in our area, but there have been devastating injuries to young people skateboarding without the proper safety paraphernalia. So I don't know how we're going to enforce that. I'm not against, somebody thought I was against this skateboard, but I'm for anything that children need to have fun with. So I'm very much on board with it, but I want them to be safe, and I don't know what we can do to ensure that they're going to wear helmets, at least helmets, at the very
I
least.
can't agree with you more.
So how are we going to do this?
Well, we haven't actually gotten that far because we don't even have a park yet. So we're working on trying to eventually work with the mayor and council to enact some sort of ordinance or some sort of rules with regards to wearing safety equipment, especially a helmet.
It's very,
I
very.
mean, in the past, I know kids have been kicked out. I don't know if this tries to grade them tickets. Or as soon as they go away, the kids come back without helmets on. I I mean, it's frustrating. So all we can do is just say that they have to do it, and that, I don't know, we're gonna have to speak with the chief and work on laws and rules with regards to the safety aspects.
In years past, parents pledged to be there to oversee the safety, which never occurred, and I don't, I'm not criticizing that, but what I'm thinking is somebody has to be there to, at the very least, have them wear the proper equipment, and to keep it nice, because there's all kinds of garbage and everything else, so it has to be, first of all, safety, and then upkeep.
Of course,
Thank you.
I agree.
Okay.
Anyone else? Yes, this is a resolution.
May I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
And a second?
No.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the resolutions listed on the consent agenda? Make the motion.
Second?
Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kenny?
Yes.
Mayor Lopez-Pesco?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rondonero?
Yes.
Councilman Levin?
Yes.
Next is second reading and public hearing on ordinance 2023-9. This is an ordinance supplementing the code of the Borough of Belmar by replacing chapters 43 and 43A with chapter 43 small wireless facilities in the right of way to regulate small cell wireless facilities within the borough's right of way. This is open for public comment. If anyone would like to speak on this ordinance, please step forward, state your name and address.
Mr. Greener?
Eugene Beamer, 4th Avenue. I guess we call this chapter 43B now, right? Let's get through a couple of these.
Can we give him the microphone, Mr. Would you mind giving him the microphone? Thank you.
Gotta get rid of that.
Eugene Beamer, 4th Avenue. What I saw in here, and actually, the thing I was most interested in is the two exhibits. Are those exhibits available? One of them is supposed to be a decorative pole, and the other one, I guess, is locations that the borough prefers for where these poles would be mounted. It's very hard for me to comment, and I think for any of us here, to comment on an ordinance where the actual exhibits as to what something's going to look like. I don't think this ordinance is ready for showtime because we don't know what we're approving. Just like with what the town had previously approved on Ocean Avenue, we have no idea as to whether these so-called decorative poles are going to look any different than what was proposed by Verizon. So I don't know how you really can take action on this tonight because we can't see the exhibits. Okay, I may have some other comments here if that's what the mayor and council is looking for, but I certainly can't, I can't comment on something I can't see.
Mr. Kramer, Peter Lupo, I drafted this ordinance. So good questions and good points raised. First, the purpose of the ordinance, as you heard earlier when I was called up by the mayor, is to get rid of some components of it which were illegal. So at the very minimum, it cleans it up, reduces or eliminates entirely the redundancies and inconsistencies between the two earlier ordinances, which were adopted a year apart from each other. So that immediately does that. It makes it SEC compliant. And as mentioned before, it gives us more ability to control what is done in our public rights of way. As to those two exhibits, which are not available just yet, there's two exhibits. One would be the siting locations and then the design element. That would be something that I could discuss with the mayor and town council and other officials about different locations and preferences in terms of decorative poles, which would then be taken to the town council for review in terms of their preferences and then brought before either town hall or duly convened the mayor and council meeting, however, the business administrator and the mayor decides to do it. But right now, anything that would be chosen in terms of locations and in terms of the decorative look would be something something discussed amongst your elected officials.
Yeah, I guess my question here is this leading to 43C? In other words, I can understand the expediency of having to get things straightened out on paper and so on, but can we anticipate that there will be a 43C here with such things as the exhibits?
Yes, as the town council just reminded me that it will be in fact be an amendment to the ordinance that you see right now. So there will be an amendment once we decide, once the location is decided upon, and once the decorative pole is agreed upon about how it's going to look, and locations, there will be an amendment to that, the new ordinance. If that answers your question.
It'll just be an amendment to the ordinance. It won't be a new ordinance, so there won't be a C.
Well, okay.
Just to use that term.
I do have more.
C anyway.
I do have more comments than if that's where this is going to land. The problem that I see here is that there is no transparency. What happened to us last time on Ocean Avenue was a done deal before any of us had even seen the damn thing, okay? And I understand certainly the FCC rules that this cannot go through a regular land use approval process, primarily because of the public notice requirements. In other words, you have to publish, you have to send notices out, and it's very difficult to get a land use decision within 60 or 90 days. Let me say one thing, and I'm familiar with the Federal Communications Commission. Even though they come out with this shot clock of 60 days if it's existing infrastructure, or 90 days if it's new, proposed, or I should say new infrastructure. The FCC never said that the municipality or towns or governments had to get rid of their existing land use boards. This appears to me that something, when it comes in-house, this should be immediately forwarded to the borough's planning board. And if necessary, and in accordance with the federal requirements, the shot clock business, certainly the planning board is well represented by the mayor and council. And certainly the members of the planning board would be informed as to the shot clock requirements. Our planning board has turned things around in a lot less than 60 days, especially what all we really need to do here would be to make this something that should be reviewed by the borough's planning board.
So there's nothing in the FCC that says it can't go through review. So it could still go through historical, for example, I've done in towns where it's gone through historical or commission review, and other town. So there's nothing in the FCC that says it can't go through it. The only thing it says it's non-discretionary. So it eliminates discretionary review. I'm sorry, it eliminates a discretionary review. So you can't decline it. But certainly commissions and other interested parties can review it, give some inputs, and through me, through the mayor, and through me as an intermediary between the borough of Belmar and the carrier, I can make recommendations about locations. For example, if it's near a driveway, if it's an issue with line of sight, so that if someone's pulling out and the utility pole might be potentially blocking someone's line of sight, that's something I can convey to the carrier. If it's in front of someone's house or in front of a sensitive structure where, say it's a historic church or something like that, I can ask it to be relocated further down. So we can't say no to it entirely, and we can't have a discretionary review, so you can't put it in there. But there are definitely certain things that can be done within 90 days. And the case right now that's pending is 20 new sites that might be coming in, that's something that would be available with 90 days to have people like the Land Use Commission or the Planning Board, Zoning Board review it and give some direction or some preferences or some input into the process.
Yeah, that's what I mean by transparency. If it just goes the way it's written here, and the way it's been written in the other versions that we've had, okay? We didn't see it until it was a done deal, all right? We didn't see it. We didn't even know the darn thing was going on.
Which is
But one thing we do know is that our planning board meets once a month. They have a scheduled date. And certainly, I don't see any reason why this review can't be done at the planning board level. And I don't think there's any real, in as much as it is a federal time constraint on how long the municipality can take. Like I said, I guess what I would be looking for here is that why can't review of these telecommunications facilities be done by the planning board? They're familiar with the town, and they're familiar with the issue. And certainly if they need help from the engineer or from telecommunications consultant, they would be utilized in the same fashion as the mayor and council.
Nothing in the FCC would preclude such a course of action or such approach, if that answers your question.
Right, okay. Unfortunately, like the way I read this, it appeared that there wasn't going to be any transparency. Let me put it this way.
The ordinance didn't say anything about, secretive meetings and so it is obviously open, we're discussing it right now, and there's nothing that includes the way you suggested, nor must it. The only thing is that it says is that there's you can't reject it, so the FCC is pretty clear. As you said, two things: shot clock, 60 days for existing infrastructure, 90 for new, and there's no way of saying, you can't prohibit service, you can't deny an application. But as I said, there are certain things we can take into account. ADA regs, for example, as I mentioned before, DOT line of sites, particular sensibilities about locations and houses and residents, individual residents' concerns about things. All these things can be finessed and discussed with the carrier, who do want to look at this as a community partner, about locating these poles in ways that minimize the aesthetic impact on residents and other kinds of considerations.
Okay. I don't know whether you've had the opportunity to check out Belmar, but maybe you have noticed that when it comes to existing utility poles, about 50% are within the public right of way. The other 50% are what they call mid-block property line occupations. I think what all of us would like to hear is that nothing in the FCC regulation strictly speaks about right-of-way that does not involve mid-block property line occupation. In other words, about 50% of the poles, utility poles in Belmar, are on private property.
But the Belmar has a right of way over those private property lines. So
No, absolutely not, sir. Absolutely not. Whichever utility installed, and this goes back to the parity system, where electric and Beltel would pretty much, in the end, half of the poles would be
in
going.
backyards, you're talking about the ones in the back. You're talking about-
Correct.
Understood. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the ones on the front of the street. I apologize. Yeah.
Okay. So this does not, so that is not public right away. I just want to make that clear. So
Correct, yeah, I didn't know you referred to, I know you were talking about on the front of the streets. Those, the street and sidewalks themselves are public rights of way. I didn't understand you talking about the backyards. I understand now, okay.
Yeah. Plus, we have some areas in town, Inlet Terrace being a good example of it. The property line runs to the curb line, okay? It does not include, in other words, the borough's right of way does not include the sidewalk. or anything else. The property lines reads into the street, right to the curb. So in those areas, and I believe River Court may also be the same. We have some areas in town here where literally, I don't know where they're gonna put poles, let me put it that way.
I'll say for the purposes of the carriers, they want to be in the public right of way. And the reason why they would prefer public right of way versus private easement or backyard is one thing, access, because if it's a public right of way, they can access it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If it's someone's backyard, at the range for access. The second thing is the CARS ruling of 2019, the one we referenced for the FCC. They fix a price per annum per pole. So if you went to a backyard, it'd be private property, you have to negotiate market rates, which would be astronomically more expensive than the fixed rate under the FCC. So I don't anticipate really ever seeing things, small cell sites on private land or top of rooftops for those reasons.
Well, on top of this building, we do.
There is. This is a small cell. It's a 4G small cell site. It's called a capacity site, but it's not a 5G site. So this over here, and I pointed this out earlier to a member of this over here. So it is a small cell site in the sense of it's a small, that a typical conventional site with 3 big cabinets. It's a few radios and that one canister you see over the rooftop. So that is a small cell in terms of the size. In terms of the regulations that govern it, it's not a 5G site. It would not be subject to that 2019.
It may not be up here. It may not be mounted on the roof yet.
It is.
I talked about 5G.
Oh, 5G, correct.
I believe the borough had granted permission to Verizon to mount 5G on top of it, so it may not be installed yet. Plus, what we're seeing over on the 900 block on Main Street is, it appears, installations that don't require any approval whatsoever because they're just mounted on unistrut with sandbags and concrete ballast holding them down, and there's no real construction other than an electric outlet and a fiber drop. That's it. I guess that the telecommunications companies, all of them, they've done this now in a couple of places. Really, shouldn't the borough be encouraging, instead of utilization of the right-of-way, letting property owners host an installation?
Well, there is an FCC rule. I suppose the municipality could encourage, but there is an existing federal law, which again is favorable for the carriers, and unfortunately for the municipality, in terms of zoning, for example, traditionally you can restrict 4G towers that we currently mostly use right now to certain areas of town, commercial areas or industrial areas. That does not exist. So that 2019 was meant to speed and also encourage 5G development, reduce costs. As I mentioned before, there's fixed annual fees that can be charged. So I don't understand why, and not to mention the access, again, like I said, if you're right in front of the street, you're on say, Ocean Avenue and 18th, there's a down site that just drive up, it's public, it's 24/7, use a bucket truck and replace the existing antenna. They go on the rooftop, for example, here, they'd have to reach out to the facilities manager, they wouldn't have access to it. So I don't know under what circumstances a carrier would choose, they go on a private property versus being in the public rights of way. And I don't know what the borough can do to help encourage use of private property over the public rights of way that I can think of.
I'll tell you where I see the biggest problem there, and it's not even in the poles. It's within the right of way. We have Verizon that has an overhead franchise. We have Jersey Central, which has an overhead franchise in town. They literally can run wires all over the place.
Just to distinguish two different things, there's Verizon Telephone, which you mentioned, there's a franchise agreement, and those are usually a bunch of municipalities that have the right to operate utility poles as a Board of Public Utility regulated entity. And there's Verizon Wireless, AT&T, T-Mobile, which are FCC regulated. Two different types of entities, but I just want to make sure that you understand the distinction between.
Now, yeah, I do understand that, but what we've seen so far is that Jersey Central has, when it comes to a service connection, they have not changed their tariffs one bit. In other words, it requires a meter set and a meter. okay? And they will run the wire anywhere within the right-of-way that they feel suits them. So we're gonna have in town, potentially have in town here. And likewise with Cablevision and Verizon.
How does this tie into the 5G ordinance? I'm not sure if I'm making.
Well, let me, how does it tie into that? In other words, each one of these right-of-way installations needs a power supply from Jersey Central Power.
Fiber as well.
And needs a fiber drop.
Correct.
Okay. And we have literally no control about how those wires run within the right-of-way.
That's BPU again, that's something that's just, been around for 130 years, it's something that just exists and that's a fact. One thing we can do as your consultant is ensure that the work is done in a neat and orderly manner. Make sure, I've seen before here in Belmar, they first put fiber in separately from 5G, that they had coiled wires that hang all over the place. What they can do is make sure it's done in a nice orderly manner, so there will be aerial shots for both fiber and power. Make sure before we close out the permit, we do a post-construction review, make sure everything's done in a neat, orderly manner, to kind of address some of this. But in terms of the aerial runs themselves, we don't have control of that. But where we do control, that's something I could advocate for the constituents of the town.
Yeah, I guess what my request would be when somebody submits a plan for poles at specific locations, to also identify at that time whether the fiber and power leads connections will be either underground or overhead.
If it's gonna be on Ocean Avenue, that would be something we have to look into, because I'm not sure if power, especially on the eastern side of the street, may involve trenching, something we want to avoid. But certainly on the side streets or at 12th, Ocean and A, or whatever it is, all those have existing connections. You have electrical attenuators that run from the main power line to the other side of the street. I think they can co-locate to help reduce the amount of carriers and poles that get put in there. But certainly something to be discussed. It'll be on the construction drawings. And before they even do an application, they'll most likely reach out to the business administrator, say, hey, we have about how many sites, 30 sites we want to put in, and we'll do a pre-construction walk with the carrier. We'll take into account, as you mentioned before, if the town and council wants to do it, I don't want to speak to see how they want to handle it. They would go to the zoning board, planning board, we can take some of the input, walk with the carrier, and talk about things like area runs for fiber and power, and also talk about designs, appearances, looks, and locations, and take some of the particular concerns of however the town council wants to handle it, and factor that into and discuss it with the carrier when they first approach the town before permits are issued.
Yeah, the reason I'm bringing this up, I live on a corner lot. I've been fiber blighted on two sides of my property, not just Verizon, but also Cablevision, and of course JCP&L is above all of them. I just see this turning into a real. If you think it's bad now, let me just put it that way. It ain't going to get any better.
Which is why we want to get ordinance in place now, even though those two different exhibits are not there yet. Get it in place, make it compliant with the FCC right now. It's the purpose of doing that. Make sure there's no consistencies. We have a way of administering a law right now for FCC when they approach us. It's FCC compliant. And secondly, we'll go ahead and notice that'll be something I would imagine I'll let the town attorney may decide that it would be an amendment, which would be open, I would think, to public discussion there. I'm not sure how that would be done. So it'll be transparent, and we can serve that transparency. That'd be something that will be transparent for anyone.
I see the way to make things transparent is by kicking it over to the planning board. Okay?
I can't speak for the process, but.
Well, I'm just saying that now, because we've been through the other method. And at least we know the planning board meets once a month, and there's a scheduled meeting. And also, I think it would probably be a good idea to start playing a little bit of, dealing with the technology company or companies here, that we better start using Zoom meetings so that people will actually know what's going on. And quite truthfully, I've seen that, you mentioned Board of Public Utilities. I participated in many of the Zoom meetings nowadays, and they are considered public meetings for the purposes of discussion. I mean, there may be
A
some.
little less like mine kind of about the notification and screaming that I can't speak of and how that's now, but I'll let officials answer.
I'm going to interrupt for a second. Unfortunately, we still have another ordinance to go through, and I don't want to cut you short, but, you know, we need to move on with the meeting. I mean, we'll have plenty of opportunities, I think, to have discussions with Mr. Lupo.
Very, very good, Mayor. Thank you very much. I guess what I'm looking forward to is 43C, because I just don't see this now as, I mean, it's okay, and it corrects problems, but this definitely has to be something to be worked on going forward. And it's probably going to take.
We'll definitely look at that, and if any changes need to be made, they'll be made. You know, it's not, you know, it's something that we can obviously amend.
Okay.
But for tonight, we want to just move forward with what we have.
Thank you.
Okay? Yes?
Hello again, Katrina Classes B Street. I actually have a question about, does this ordinance pertain to, I don't know if everybody's aware that there is a permit application for a building on Main Street, 917 Main Street from Selco, wanting to put a tower on top of that building. And obviously it's a private building, but I wanted to know if this ordinance, or are we going to put any ordinances into place about private property people putting these cell towers on top of their buildings? Is this ordinance going to have anything to do? It will have nothing whatsoever.
This has nothing to do with private property, and it sounds like 4G, so this will regulate 5G in the public rights of way. That's a separate, ordinance that regulates that.
So then, having said that and knowing what we've been going through with all these towers and the concerns everybody has about 5G, this doesn't say whether it's 4G or 5G, it just says tower. What the application that I see, it might be deeper into it, but I'm just looking at the first page, cell phone partnership control with Verizon, and they have an application in for 917 Main Street in Belmar, and put a 31-foot rooftop tower, blah, 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 blah. Are you guys aware that this is even in play? You are, right? Right. So, can we we're thinking about all the public right-of-way stuff, but if we're thinking about ordinances, is there a way that we can protect our town going forward? Because we could have these towers lined up on every building all the way down the street. And would you guys do some kind of consideration about looking into not only this particular application to make sure that it's okay, but going forward that there's some rules in place for private owners? And I don't know, do you have anything to say?
I think everything that you're asking is really falls into the legal realm.
I
We can only do what we're legally
Right, well, I'm
allowed
saying,
to do.
right.
That's why
What I'll do is
asked.
this, I'll work with the business administrator, take a look at the application and do an FCC eligible facilities request review on it, number one, and then I'll also take a look at the existing 4G ordinance in consultation with the
Okay,
council.
great, because we could possibly put some restrictions in place for private owners, so we don't have a million of these things on town like we're talking about. Okay, that's all I'm saying, because I see this permit and it's kind of, do you have anything to say about that? Because you look like you know what you're the G lady, you're the tower lady.
I want that title. I was just going to say, I had a lot of questions about that too, and we started to talk about it earlier. And I was actually wondering, to go back to Mr. Kramer, if that was something that was right for the zoning board, planning board,
Right.
to take a look at.
Right, so we know that this is coming, we know that it's gonna get worse.
The application.
I'm talking about this particular
Yes.
one on private property,
So
so
because-
my request is that you guys look into that and start to put something together.
So unlike the 5G that Mr. Kramer just raised earlier, this is governed by a different set of regulations. So it's 150 days versus the 60 or 90 for small cells.
Right.
And 100 days, and it is discretionary. You have the right to review and or reject it if you find that it's not consistent.
Now, would you say, It's discretionary by who? By mayor and council?
By mayor council, by the zoning board, planning board.
Okay, so this application, if it comes forward, is it gonna come in, once it's approved, whatever, is it gonna come in front of mayor and council to be approved? That's what
Well, we
I,
need to just let's go step by step
Well-
here and figure out what
Okay.
happens with an application when it's made.
okay, what is it, what
town.
happens?
So this
Okay.
site already has approval from the zoning board from a few years ago for antenna equipment to be there. And the permit we received was to upgrade existing equipment.
Because there is a little thing on there already,
Right,
right?
so we haven't received anything to go larger or anything, it's just for
Right, you haven't
upgrading.
gotten this yet, I
Right,
guess.
we just received permits to upgrade the existing equipment, which they've done a few times since they got the zoning board approval.
Okay, and do you know, April, when we got that approval, when that zoning board approval happened? How old is it? Do you have any idea? I mean, I know it's asking off the top of me.
It's gotta be less than 10 years,
Okay,
Now, what are
maybe
you
5 or
looking
6
at
years ago.
that we haven't received yet? You said.
I'm sorry?
You're looking at something on your phone and you said we haven't received it yet.
No, because that's April said correct me if I'm wrong, did I misunderstand what you said, April?
Yeah, I don't,
What
don't
I'm
think that
looking
we
at,
received anything for a 30-foot tower.
Yeah,
You
you
just
guys
received
haven't gotten
permits.
what I'm looking at. This is the
And how are you
application.
seeing it?
It's posted on the belmarblog.com, and it's for public notice. It was
We obviously couldn't do
It
anything.
was
if we don't
posted
have
on
it.
June 12th, 2023,
As far
as
we
public
know-
notice.
As far as we know, it wasn't.
Right, so that's why I'm bringing it up, because obviously, maybe you guys don't know, I don't know if you know or not. That's why I'm asking, I just wanted to make sure it's not, this ordinance will not affect that, A. And if it doesn't, which we're saying it doesn't, correct? That perhaps we can look into that going
We'll
forward.
definitely look into the
All
whole
right, thank you.
situation. Anyone else? Okay. Let's move on. Close the public session.
Can I have a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-9?
Motion?
Councilwoman Donovan?
Aye.
Councilwoman McKinney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckles?
Yes.
Councilman Romanero? Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Next is second reading and public hearing on ordinance 2023-10, an ordinance to authorize the leasing of a public space known as the North End Fifth Avenue Pavilion concession to the Circle of Friends Corporation, a section 501c3 entity. If anyone would like to comment on this ordinance, please step forward, state your name and address.
Good evening, everyone. I'm not really a public speaker, but I feel like it's one of the things I should come forward with, being a parent and also being someone that most of you know. First of all, I live at 402 9th Avenue, and my name is Carol Ann Capoli. I forgot to say that. But anyway, we're here around 13 years. We've had property here for 40. Since we got here, we extended the Circle of Friends with Belmar. And I have to say, since we are here, I want to thank this council and mayor in the past councils and mayor, because they've always supported the Circle of Friends. For those of you who don't know who the Circle of Friends is my husband and I and my family started the Circle of Friends over 26 years ago. We're here 13 years now. And we started out in Bloomfield, and our purpose was to support young adults that are out of school to social life, because after they're 21 in school, especially when it came to our son David, because he was bused out of district, all of his social life just ended. So with a grant that we got from a person who wanted to give away money, who is now, I think, a judge in Newark, Mr. Martini, you know, he's Judge Martini. His father had a portion of his estate that he wanted to give away to a nonprofit, and that's how we started, with $10,000. We have then grown to Belmar, besides Bloomfield, now here in Belmar. We have been very successful, and only because of the support of our town, our businesses, and many people that have a great heart and look out of the box. So with that said, and thanking you all for that, I really want to be here as a representative of our group. Now, for many of these parents and young adults who are here before you tonight about the cafe. And mostly as a parent, I want to come before you because it's not a sad story. It's because our kids have a lot of abilities. And this is a good and a purpose that all of us fight for our children when they grow up, to have a job and to be part of societies in their own communities. So with that said, that's why I'm here. I'm here more as a parent because most of you know what the Circle of Friends has been about because you've supported us since we're here. So as a mother, I'm here before you for that because I want you to know that I know all of us as parents want our kids to get started, but I want you to know it's a little bit more difficult with our children. And this opportunity that we have, I hope you will vote yes, because it's not only an opportunity for them, it's an opportunity for our town because there are other places that have set up something, not many. I know there's one in Manasquan and there's one in Middletown. And it only brought success, not only for our kids and for their community, working with the community with their abilities. They bring a much more light to what life is all about. They're very respectful. We've never had a problem with our kids and our young adults. And I go before you to just look at that. And really that's all I want to say. I also want to thank you for supporting my son David at the library. He has been working there now for 10 years. And I can't tell you how he loves to get up to work every day. So I come before you as a mother, more than anything. There are a lot of parents here, and I'm not going to take much more time because I know our young adults want to speak for themselves, and their mothers or fathers will like to speak to you about this issue too. So I'd like you to open up your heart and really listen to them. Thank you so much.
My name is Bill Young. I live at 1702 A Street in Belmar. I am a Circle of Friends board member, and I hope everybody is going to vote yes today. Not only is this a good thing for Circle of Friends, and I'm not going to tell the story that was already told to you, but this is good for the food and beverage operation that is much needed on the boardwalk in that part of town. Our menu is going to be French fries, chicken fingers, ice cream, cold drinks, and that's what people want to eat. So it's going to serve the Circle of Friends. It's going to serve people who want food and beverage, and it's going to serve Belmar as a whole because this is the right thing to do. So I hope everybody on the dais tonight votes yes. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Emma Kozak. I live on 1223 Oakwood Road. I'm speaking on behalf of my twin, Sophia Kozak. She's away at summer camp, so she can't be here. But I just want to say that I truly think that this will be an amazing opportunity for our community over here. As a twin, she sees me going to work every day, going to socialize with my friends, going off to college, and unfortunately, she does not have these opportunities, and it's truly heartbreaking to see. I mean, she has special abilities, but then to be put aside me and see everything that I can do and I can go out and strive for. This is something that she is so excited for. It's her own job now. It's what we all want. I'm sure some of you guys have kids and you're excited for them to go out into the world and go into the workforce and see as they develop their passions and what they want to do with their life. And this is something that she can do. And not only my twin, but all of these kids here, this is going to allow for a sense of fulfillment that comes from knowing that you have a job to go to, you have friends, you have a community that relies on you. And again, I'm here to speak for my sister, I'm her voice tonight, but I really hope that you guys vote yes for our community. It would really mean the world to all of us.
Hi, I'm Business Council Third. My address is 1351 Tamarack Road, Manasquan, New Jersey, 08736. My name is Vincent Council Third. I've been a member of Circle Friends for over 10 years. I love Circle Friends and all the members. I enjoy socializing with my peers. I love participating in many activities. I am especially excited about the Circle Friends Cafe. It will be a great opportunity for myself and all my peers to help and serve others through my work at the cafe. I want to say thank you, Councilwoman and Mayor Bud Fusco. God bless you all.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Louis Polito. I'm at 305 8th Avenue. For the past 6 years, I, in my position as a library assistant in the Belmar Public Library, has had the joy, honor, and privilege of working with a special needs person, my good friend David Capoli over here. And I can tell you from direct personal experience that giving job opportunities for special needs people is such a beneficial thing for both the special needs individuals and for the employer and for the community at large. The social interaction alone is priceless. It gives them the social skills to interact with people who are not special needs in a way in which they can be confident in their ability to grow and interact. As they get older and then they come to the times of their lives that they may have to face the world on their own. That is key. It benefits the employer and it benefits the borough in general, because what a greater way to show our patrons how much we support, embrace, and welcome our special needs community by giving them support and putting them front and center to deal with our patrons and our customers. And finally, since most of the people they'll be dealing with will be visitors from out of town, what better advertisement to our visitors to show that our town is open and supportive of our special needs community. That is so key in making the image of Belmar to the outside world so much better and positive. Supporting different groups, supporting different people that has had different challenges in their lives has been historically part of the DNA of Belmar's history. And when it comes down to it, when you look at all the different situations and circumstances that brought us to this point, okay, we're here, and the choice is simple. Do we support our special needs community, or we do not? One answer is in our DNA. The other answer isn't. And I urge you to support the special needs community, the circle of friends, and approve this thing, because it's part of what Belmar is. Thank you very much.
Please step up if you want to make a comment.
Very good challenge, but I'll make it. My name is Camille McCaskey. I am David's friend. I just want to thank you for my.
Can you just hold the mic is not operational there for a second? Fix that.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Good job, Bob.
Again, my name is Camille Witkowski. I am David's aunt. Carolyn is my sister. I may break down a little bit when I'm reading this. It's on behalf of someone else who could not be here, to whom it may concern, and I'm sure most of you may know this person. My name is Mary Louise Anderson, and I live at 513 13th Avenue in Belmar. I have worked with individuals with multiple of special needs for more than 47 years. I am writing this letter in support of the proposed Circle of Friends Cafe at the Taylor Pavilion. I have volunteered with this organization for many years, and I have witnessed nothing but the overwhelming positive effects that our individuals have experienced attending our specialized events over the years. These include interrogated social interaction for both our people and their caregivers. So we're not only doing it for them, we're also doing it for the people that take care of them, who would otherwise have limited access to a social setting which provides nurturing, supportive acceptance from everyone. We now have a chance to expand their horizons even more by offering opportunities and support in enhancing their life skills, job training, and personal growth in so many ways. The Circle of Friends is committed to making this cafe an amazing experience for all that is involved, with the added bonus of raising community awareness and support for those with different abilities. Many surrounding communities have already embraced this same concept, with much success due to the support of their residents, family, and town representatives. It would be astonishing to me that anyone would deny or discourage such a fantastic opportunity, which will most definitely promote the growth and acceptance of this cafe that it will provide. And I really do hope that all of you vote yes to this. We still have many young adults that would like to address the issue, and one of them is my king, David Capote.
I'm trying to help these kids to learn to get the job done. I'm concerned what is going on for our town. I'm concerned with Mayor Man. Can I see this got things? Mayor Man. That's why he's important today. As my friend. And also a good father. And about what you said, this cafe to get things done quickly, as soon as possible. You know my answer is? My answer is yes. It's going to keep with you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come up if you want to make a comment.
Hi, Sherry. I'm sorry. Hi, Sherry Rizzo, 1218 Briarwood Road in Belmar. I wanted to say probably more things than I should. I feel that once a special needs person is in your life, you feel differently about a situation. And growing up, my neighbor had special needs, and back then it was called Chapter 766, and we don't use that term anymore. And she had a different classroom, and she still wanted the same things as everybody else. And she didn't want to be in the different classroom, but you know, that was the best that was made. And I was her friend, and it didn't matter to me that she was in another classroom. At our community lake, there was a special needs girl who was in a wheelchair, who's no longer with us today, and she was my friend there, and she would have loved this. I want to say sometimes it's not always about money. Like, there's so much chatter about like, oh my God, it's the money. Okay, we have ambulances. Should we get rid of those too because there was a hurt person and that's a waste of money? We have beach mats. We have a lot of different things for a lot of different people that are special needs. Also, on a quick Google search, you can go through pages on Google of all the different towns that it's in. It's in Red Bank, it's in all these towns. On a quick Google search, you can just keep scrolling to all the different stuff that's going on. This is up and coming. You know, when I was little, kids with different abilities had a special lunchtime. That isn't anymore. Things are changing, and this is the way that things are going to change. It is unfair that we should say, well, you don't deserve the beachfront location. Maybe you should get a different location. That location shouldn't be for you. I don't think that that is something that should be said. Just because your abilities are different, I don't think that you don't deserve to have same opportunities, the best that we can provide for people. We have money coming in. Last night while I was out at DJ's later on, we saw plenty of people being ticketed for parking, you know? And so people were outside standing around going, oh my God, look at all this money we're making. And sometimes this is just so important that they deserve the good location, that they deserve a little bit extra insight on the fact that they shouldn't have to provide a certain amount of money. I can't imagine how much money their parents have already provided in addition to other little things that they needed, because they have different needs. I'm sure that's more of an expense. And I feel that this shouldn't be about personality. It should be about this organization's circle of friends. This is not a Republican or Democrat issue. Tom Marinone is a Republican. He has something like this that he does with this. And as Tom Marinone says, I am the Republican Party line. Do you know? So this isn't a Republican-Democrat issue on people with special needs. So I want to say that I hope that you all vote yes. And I hope that everyone who has a special needs person in their life, I know, I'm assuming that it's, I don't know how to say this nicely. People with special needs, people in their life, I don't think are voting against this. And so if you don't know a special needs person, please get to know them and know how special they are and that they deserve this too. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Robin Tomasulo. I'm Vincent's mom. I also live in Manasquan, New Jersey. I'm sorry, I'm short. Thank you. The Circle of Friends is a great organization which we've been a part of for more than 10 years. I love the Circle of Friends, and so does my son. All the young adults enjoy many recreational experiences. I am honored to be a part of the Circle of Friends. I believe with my heart that the Circle of Friends Cafe will be a great opportunity for our special young adults to work, help, give back to the community, and have a strong purpose in their lives. I would like to thank all the councilmen, women, and of course Mayor Buckafusco, Mayor Jerry. And please vote yes. Thank you.
Please step up.
Hi, I'm not from Belmar, I'm from Middletown, Belford part of Middletown. My name is Lenore Ruggiero. I just want to give you 2 words. I'm a paraprofessional, inclusion and self-worth for these young adults. It's what anybody wants. They want to work, they want to be part of the community. You know, inclusion means inclusion. Basically, everyone is out there. You got to give them a chance. It's not a disability, it's their ability. That's what you got to look for. Because everyone has ability. You just have to find it, reach, and give it to them. Because they're all here. Whether they can walk, talk, or whatever, they have an ability. Give them a chance. Thank you.
Come on up. gotta go better, Mike.
Oh, God.
Now that's what it's all about. That's out.
Excited? Good. Thank you.
Claire Hayner, 18th and B. Circle of Friends is a by far excellent organization. Our family has worked with special needs folks for over 50 years, including with the Blasios up at Camp Fatima. We know how special these kids are. But do all these people that come to our beach know how special these kids are? Or are they going to be impatient and rude and everything? Okay, because they don't know. I just hope if this is passed, that there's enough of DJs, bouncers up there to watch over these folks. Thank you.
Come on up, don't be shy, I'm trying to keep the
Hi, my name is
meeting moving on. So.
My name is Jim DeTata. I'm from Brick, New Jersey. This is my daughter Beth. And I just want to say that Beth has multiple handicaps, so it's hard for her to make friends, you know. But I volunteer with her at Ocean Medical Center, and they like her over there. She's been doing it for 16 years. So I'd like to, if you guys can give them a chance to do it, it's just a matter of community and being with other people. A lot of times, the special needs people don't have a lot of friends or can't make different things, so this would be a great thing for them. Thank you.
Hi, how are you? Good? Come on up, you want to say hello?
This is our daughter Valerie. Valerie has the courage of a lion, and sometimes I can't believe what she gets herself into. When she was younger, she signed up for ice skating. She couldn't even walk, she was still in a stroller. We signed up for a beauty pageant with a different organization, and she's nonverbal, she has cerebral palsy, and her talent, she decided she was gonna sing. And I couldn't sleep for a week, and she got up there and she decided to play Garth Brooks, Friends in Low Places, and she acted like a drunk up on stage. And I have never ever tried to stop her to do anything, so we're always encouraging her, and we follow her lead, and we're always there to back her up, support her, transport her wherever it is she wants to go. And I do hope that you approve and you say yes, because people like, these special kids are really what gives us our soul. It's not just the heart, but our soul. And we shine more because of them. Thank you.
I'm from Jackson, New Jersey, and we love Belmar, and we love coming here, and Cafe will be an attraction to Belmar.
What's your name, sir?
Julio Carajulo.
Thank you. Any other comments? Come on up.
Mark Cooper. I live in Wall. I'm a Circle of Friends parent. Just something else to keep in mind. My daughter was working, and she was one of the lucky ones that actually had a job, was working at a Wendy's for 7 years, and then COVID hit. So our community already is underemployed, and there aren't really very many opportunities, and then the few that existed, COVID really took away. So this is such a fantastic opportunity for them to get their foot back in the door and start the ball rolling again for the opportunities that would open doors for them. This would be great on their resume to say that they worked at the cafe, and then it would probably snowball and give them opportunities to go back to a Wendy's or back to a McDonald's, or there's so many things that it could open up. So please take that into consideration too. It isn't just that there's such a lack of opportunity. COVID then took so many of those away, so this would hopefully get them back to where they were. Thank you.
Hi, Rob Giuliani, 103 11th Avenue. I own Pliables, and I had a couple of my employees here earlier today, earlier at the meeting, and I explained to them what Matt Doherty and team was doing for the town and the idea behind it. And I've got young employees, all 16 to 23 and up, and they were just really inspired by it too. They had to go back to work, back to Pliables. But it's cool seeing that my employees came here to kind of support it, and I'm a Belmar resident. I think it's a really great thing for them to kind of learn the restaurant business and what goes on behind it. But I hope you guys do approve it too, and thank you for consideration.
Okay, I think,
Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
motion?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-10?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Councilwoman Donovan?
Can I take an opportunity to say something? Right. So many people have talked to me about this ordinance over the last 4 weeks, really. And I think as a council, we have a duty to act in the best interest of the townspeople. Certainly, that includes financial management. At the last meeting, people brought up some points about the way this was advertised. And we looked into it. I believe it was done by the book. That doesn't mean we should maybe review the book, maybe update it, make sure things don't go empty again. But I also think we have to look at the timeline. I looked at both proposals. The other bit in question that we haven't talked about, that's the elephant in the room here, is for $4,000 a month for 5 months. But that 5 months is no longer on the table here. We're really looking at a couple of weeks. So the amount in total is dramatically less. And so I know we have an obligation towards financial management, and we have to talk about financial costs, but I think we also have to talk about human costs. And I think the human cost is in this room. With all the people who've spoken here tonight. I mean, I work, my day job, I work in patient advocacy. Certainly, the most ardent advocates I've met have been parents. Mrs. Capoli, you said you weren't a public speaker. You were wonderful. And certainly, in my job, I know that families and caregivers in particular, they need support, they need stability, and they need community. And I think not only does Circle of Friends provide that, but I think Belmar can provide that too. I think in this particular instance, although valid arguments have been made about management and financial responsibility, the human responsibility here is larger and it outweighs those costs. So for me tonight, my vote is yes.
I think the Circle of Friends is also an amazing organization, and they do a lot of things for the special needs community and our young adults. Need an outlet to be social and go to dances and karaoke, and I think Carolyn's done an amazing job. And since Mr. Doherty came over and took over the Circle of Friends, he came with a proposal to open up the cafe and in Taylor Pavilion. And at the time, it seemed like a really great idea because it was going to teach them skills, give them the opportunity to work. But the idea to rent Taylor Pavilion for $1 was okay, I guess, because at that time we only had that offer until we got another offer. There was another proposal for a very similar organization, hire special needs people, work with the Circle of Friends, and teach skills and do all the same things and pay the borough $20,000. So it wasn't considered this proposal, and I know that there was some other things about it being a 501c3 and the timeline, of course, and having to go out to rebid. But we did get a proposal, and it wasn't taken seriously, and it still would have worked with the special needs community and the circle of friends. So I feel like we could have integrity of the council, but have fiscal integrity of the borough to try to take this all into consideration and still work with the circle of friends. So I get the timeline is moving past, but maybe we can extend the lease, and in my opinion, I feel like it should be put to rebid because there are other interested parties for the thing. So I feel like we could all work together and be a win-win for everyone.
No, I know a lot of us were sellers.
So I'm voting no.
Excuse me, can I say something? Why is it always?
There are no comments, please. That's fine. We're voting.
Take care of it in the voting.
I wasn't going to say anything because everybody knows my position on this, but with all due respect, Councilwoman Kinney, you have the facts all wrong.
Yeah.
Don't accept bids, that are put in at random. The council and the municipality has to follow the law. And that's what we did. We made a decision when the two bids were not responded to that we were not going to rent the concession. Okay, that was a done decision. And after that, on April 25th, Circle of Friends made an offer to us to use it for their purposes. Okay, and everyone on this council thought it was a great idea. Okay, and then after that was happening, March 23rd or 26th, we get a proposal about, we can give the town $20,000. Well, that's irrelevant, really, at that point, because, number one, we're not just going to go out and, what if somebody came in the next day and said, I'll give you $30,000, and somebody said the next day, I'll give you $50,000. Government doesn't work that way. Business doesn't work that way. You said something, we said we were going to do it, we were engaged in a person to rent the space. Okay, we just don't rent or do things on the fly. And I don't think that that was understood by the group that brought up the proposal. Number one, it was a half-hearted attempt to stop the Circle of Friends from getting the concession. And I don't believe that, what you stated as what went on is correct. You are entitled to vote whatever you want, but I just want people to know what the timeline was. This is what happened, okay? There was no reason that we had to look at any other proposals. That's why we didn't. There was no indication even that the second proposal was from a 501c3. I mean, that was after the fact. We would keep getting things after and after and after, but it was all irrelevant, okay? And I just want to make the facts clear, and that's what the timeline was, and there was no obligation on the town to engage in other proposals at that point, okay? So I just want everyone to know that's what really happened. My vote is yes.
I supported this project in April when it was proposed, and I support it today, yes.
My turn, right? I don't have a lot of words, but I vote yes. I can't wait to get to this.
The next is public session. If anyone would like to speak, please step forward, state your name and address. This is public session on any topic.
I know it was a hard decision on some people, and I regret that you feel that way when whoever does, but I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all for accepting this proposal, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, giving these kids another chance. And that's from my heart as a parent, not from the circle of friends. Thank you all very much. I don't think we'll be sorry.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
So Hanger, 18th and B, I haven't moved. First off, Councilwoman Donovan, thank you for the newsletter. It was the first thing on my list. I appreciate that. Second thing is, living on the corner of 18th and B, I see a lot that goes on in Lake Como, okay? And they happen to paint some signs on the Belmar side of the street. It was a beautiful thing. It wasn't like Como, I think it was like the county, maybe, because it wasn't the DPW doing it. It was traffic, painting traffic or whatever.
Grant money.
Rent, okay, all right. But what they did at the corner of New Bedford and 18th was they painted a stop sign on the street with letters that are like this, which are also on 5th and 8th Avenue. So on the corner of 18th and B, on both sides, we got little stop signs on the street. So maybe if we could possibly get the big ones in whatever paint that Lake Como, where the grant money used, because it was bright, it was shiny, and it was noticeable, okay? So that was...
This was on the street, painted actually on the street?
Yeah,
Okay.
big stop sign, just a
Yeah.
big stop sign, okay?
Mhm.
The other thing I had was the workshop. It seems like we have a workshop every week. If there's any possibility of what's going to be discussed at a workshop, could be put on the agenda, that would be great, so that if people, didn't plan on coming to the meeting, but maybe there was something that they wanted to hear about, okay, they would know.
If we are, I'm pretty much the person who is putting stuff on the agenda. Every council person can put an item on the workshop. But, lots of times it's a last minute thing. And it's really just it's a meeting of the council, really, at that point. And, obviously it would be nice to let people know what we're going to discuss, just so you can hear it.
Yeah.
But, if we know it, we'll put it on. But lots of times it's an 11th hour, like, well, we want to discuss this, or we want to discuss that. So if we know, we'll put it on. But if you don't see anything on, it's because we've done it at the last minute and we've come up with things that we want to discuss. But
Okay.
we'll try.
Okay.
Hopefully that's something that could be updated in the newsletter.
Yeah, there you go, there you go. The other thing is my 7-year ploy for trying to get the curbs at Snyder and 18th. Okay, so it's been 7 years, so just trying to do that, okay? So just want to remind everybody again, okay?
I bet you don't make E.
You're on.
About 7.5.
All right. Last but not least, when we used to have, at UPS, take your children to work day and everything, we were told to be on our best behavior, okay? As all the managers and everything else, when all the young adults or the kids were coming in, all right? So if we're gonna have a council meeting where we invite all the kids and everything to come and see what government's all about, I just suggest we have a basically non-meeting and have a very polite meeting. Thank you.
Good evening, Tom Zilberger, 1000 River Road. I just have two things. Mr. Mayor, about your comments on Councilwoman Kinney's vote. I think once it comes before a vote in the of the council, mayor and council, it should just be a vote. Have a few comments, but the back and forth is over with. Is a yes or a no, as we knew. I think you politicized it a bit there by taking Councilwoman Kinney to task on her vote. Her vote is her vote, and that's it. It was said, your comments, I think, were a bit out of order. Secondly, may I address Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes, you can.
Councilwoman Kinney, I'm a old guy and everything. I've been through a few things in my life. And injury is one of the top ones and everything. Now, you and Claire spoke about injury with the skate park. The alleged skate park. We don't know if it's gonna ever be, but maybe. But injury should be brought down to not a minimum, but a livable idea of things. Injury is a part of the world. and everything, you could be injured. Like I keep saying, I could be injured standing here, you could be injured sitting there. Injuries with us all the time. It's part of learning, it's educative. For instance, if a little boy gets hurt in the skate park and everything, that's too bad. Hopefully he's not killed. Hopefully he's not injured to a point where he loses a leg or an arm or whatever. But there's a lot of things that are much less than that. Once the boy is injured, he learns. Don't do that particular thing again. Not only that, the other boys and girls there learn also. Oh, look what he did. He got injured. I won't do it. And everything like, hopefully anyway, if they're, they got their head on straight and they saw it and everything. These things have to be dealt with in life. You don't put everything secondary to injury. You attempt things. That's what brought this thing to a head a year and a half ago when the previous mayor shut down and everything. Through a stupid thing from an insurance company that said, oh, this is dangerous. You have to stop it. This is malarkey. We've done everything in this world, thousands of things. People have been killed, they've been maimed, they've done everything in the world. But you don't stop everything about injury. Let's get this part done. Like I keep saying, it's the one thing that the boys and girls, mostly boys, really, really, really liked in this town. And you saw them on that good day out there in droves all the time and everything. And it got stopped for nothing. And now it's like some sort of unbelievable major project. The Twin Towers wasn't fought over this much. They got down to it, they did it. And a couple guys on that job got killed. But they did it. Let's get it done.
We are trying.
Trying?
We are trying.
Okay, keep trying.
I don't know that well, squat down. Emma Kozak, do I have to reintroduce myself? 1223 Oakwood Road. I just want to thank you again, Mayor Bucafusco, for clarifying the order of events, and all of you guys for accepting our community and just truly opening up your arms to everyone in our community. And again, I want to thank you for clarifying the events as I didn't think it was to be. Thank you.
John Cherekian, 111 6th Avenue, Belmar. I'm a half-year resident. I'm lucky enough to go down to Florida in the winter, but I love Belmar. It's always been my first love. Couple of things. We don't have a crosswalk on 6th Avenue. How come? It was taken away during Sandy on the residential side. There's no crosswalk. It hasn't been there for 10 years. It's ridiculous.
This is what?
On 6th Avenue and Ocean, there's no crosswalk on the residential side.
I don't know why that would be.
So can we please have a crosswalk with that? Okay. Another thing, I see it in Florida, and I look out my window and I can see the lifeguards freezing their butts off, the weather's terrible. Why can't we get enclosed lifeguard stands for these people? I mean, put the money towards, get the money raise it from, the revenue of beach revenue and get them enclosed lifeguard stand. Not only is it just better for them, they're not getting more sun. I just had melanoma. This way they would be less exposed, to the conditions. So I think it'd be something good. Another thing I see in Avon and I see in Spring Lake, I don't see it here. Cross the seasonal police. There, they cross people like on really busy streets. We have the guys walking up and down the boardwalk, and they're nice guys. I talk to them, but why aren't they like on 16th where the food stand is, or 17th, why aren't they crossing people? And, you know, the pedestrians are dodging, you know, the cars, not everybody stops. So, you know, instead of having them walk the board, some could walk the board, but why not have them as a, you know, help cross? And the last one is 8th Avenue in Maine. It's like a crapshoot. Do I go in the left lane? Do I go in the center lane? Do I go in the right lane? And everybody gets mad at each other, you know, like, it's like, I think what they should do is don't have any parking in the rightmost lane and have a left lane, a straight lane, and a right lane. And this way, everybody's happy. It's so confusing. I mean, it's like.
Unfortunately, that area is controlled by the state. So we need to go to that. That's a state road.
That's 8th Avenue, not Main Street.
No, 8th Avenue is a state road. As you turn off of 35, that's Route 71. Turns. Route 71 and 35 are basically together.
So something has to be done by the state to do that?
And we've already reached out to them because they have a project which was approved to improve the crosswalk by the senior center. And you know, along with that, the improvements to 8th Avenue and doing the exact same thing you're saying with the lanes is part of the plan.
It's been like that for 40 years. I mean, I've been coming here for 40 years. It's
but
crazy.
you know, they are the ones who can only make those changes at that point. But we'll, you know,
I have one more thing I just remembered. I went to the beach the other day. I love the beach. Somebody's smoking on the beach, right? So I reported. I don't want to go up and be confrontational. So I went to the lady who was guarding the beach. She was very nice. She reported it. And then I came back and the person was smoking. Okay, I didn't say anything. I got off the beach. She said, you know, I did report. Now, this might sound counterintuitive, but there's no warning for people drinking on the beach, which doesn't affect my health. It doesn't affect my health, but the smoke blowing at me does affect my health. So why are those people given no ticket? They should get a no warning ticket also. I think either that or, you know, both of them should get warnings, you know? I don't think it's...
We'll discuss that with the chief.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Please come on up.
Hello again, Katrina Clapsis B Street. First off, I'd like to, I know the temperature in the room, it can get a little hot, but I'd also like to say that you as council people and mayor have the right to vote the way you feel votes. And I think as residents, we have to respect the fact that there's differences of opinion. And so if one person votes one way for something and somebody else votes some other way, I think it would behoove all of Belmar to just understand that everybody comes from a different perspective. Doesn't mean you're anti anybody, and it also doesn't mean you don't have feelings for people with special needs. That's just my point about that. So I do want to say something about the Taylor Pavilion in general for going forward. You know, that lease space, when it was done originally, the rental space was built with a large industrial kitchen for a caterer to utilize for banquets. That's how it was designed originally when it was first built. It has always been a bone of contention among the residents here in Belmar. We had 2 referendum votes about whether we were going to spend $5 million to vote it or not. Okay, first time it was a no vote, and the second time it was a yes vote by 17 votes. So we know that this has been an issue. The Taylor Pavilion has been an issue for years as far as the financing of it is concerned. The construction of it was never great. We've had pipes burst, we've had leaks, we had to replace the floor. The windows, from what I understand, this is a new thing, I guess, is leaking. So I would like to suggest in the future that you guys consider decreasing the rental space at the Taylor Pavilion, making it a smaller entity, a more affordable entity for people to rent, maybe bringing a little
ability for people to go back into the building, because I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people in this room remember, like, I think it was Be Green or something. There were other, in the old Taylor, you could go in and sit down and get out of the weather in the old Taylor and the old rental space. We could go into the Taylor Pavilion before it was rebuilt after Sandy and sit. And you could sit on rocking chairs on the back porch and you could watch the ocean. The public was allowed in Taylor Pavilion. Once it was rebuilt, that's no longer accessible to the public. So I would like you guys to consider narrowing that rental space, making it smaller and more affordable for someone to rent, to utilize, perhaps opening it up a little bit so people can actually go into it. And I know this was mentioned, and I know the previous administration had talked about also making public restrooms in that building. We would get rid of the 6th Avenue trailer, we could get rid of that, open it up, make the Taylor Pavilion a public building the way it was before. At least to the point where if we were, and I'm not a lawyer, but I believe that if we had public access and public toilets in the Taylor Pavilion, we could then offset some of the cost for all this maintenance and all other things with the beach utility, because it would be public. And we know that we went to court, very small portion of the Taylor Pavilion can be written against, only where they sell the badges, can be written against the beach utility. The taxpayers of Belmar pay for the rest of it. Okay, so that's why there's such concern about it not renting, because we, the taxpayers, are responsible for all of that, except for that tiny, tiny portion. So I would just like to suggest and ask you guys to consider that going forward for the future. So maybe next year we don't have this semi-catastrophe and infighting and fighting with each other that we're having tonight. The other thing, so that's my feeling on that, okay, on Taylor, and I hope you guys think about that. And I am correct, I believe, about the public utility. If it was open to the public, that we would be able to utilize beach utility money. Is this correct?
I think you're probably correct.
Okay, so that would be great. So it would be a win-win for everybody, okay?
Katrina, can I just mention?
Yes.
That's being considered.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Great, because that kitchen in there, when it was designed originally, I mean, that was a huge industrial kitchen that Mary Makers put in there. Nobody is gonna be able to afford that space and utilize that kitchen space the way Mary Makers was using it, holding all back. So something to consider, and then we can all move on hopefully from this subject. The other thing I'd like to ask Mr. Kane, at the last meeting, I asked about the Lake Como open space grant. And you told me that the county was gonna would give us the money and then we could do the work. But I since looked into that a little bit and I'm not sure you're correct, and I hope that you can clarify. Isn't it true that we have to bond for the money, we have to do the work, and then we have to submit, and it has to be inspected, and then we submit and get the actual money? I'm not talking about the application, whether they're gonna say, yes, we're gonna give you the grant or not. I'm talking about the actual money coming into Belmar.
The exact procedure for your next meeting.
Okay, because I'm almost 100%, I could be wrong, that we have to bond for that money, $200,000, but the whole $400,000, we, the town of Belmar, have to bond for, and then we get reimbursed once all the work is done, the engineers are all done, the inspections all happen. So that was just incorrect information, I believe, that was given.
And then the bond would be paid off.
Well, yes, once, right, but we have to, yeah, yes. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? I don't see any hands.
Can I have a motion to close the public session and adjourn the meeting?
I'll motion.
All in favor?
Aye.